The manicured lawns of Serenity Meadows were a lie. They spoke of uniformity, of quiet compliance, of a life where the only acceptable colors were various shades of green and beige. At the helm of this enforced paradise was Karen Miller, HOA President. Her reign was one of meticulously typed violation notices and the quiet, smug power of the rulebook. Across the street from Karen's own imposing colonial lived Art Jenkins. His lawn was just as green, but his pride and joy was the small, shaded corner by the old oak tree. There, nestled among native ferns and wildflowers he'd cultivated to support local pollinators, stood a simple, beautiful monument. It wasn't grand, just a smooth river stone, a neatly folded, faded flag in a glass case, and a bronze plaque that read, "In honor of Corporal Ben Carter, not gone, not forgotten." Every evening, Art would sit on the bench beside it, his gnarled hand resting on the cool stone. To Karen, it was an eyesore, a violation of Code 7.2b, unauthorized structures and landscaping alterations. She saw a weed in her perfect garden. Art saw a promise kept. Ben had been the kid who mowed his lawn, the boy who joined the Marines straight out of high school, the man who never came back from a dusty road in a country whose name Art could barely pronounce. Ben had no family left. Art was all he had. The notices began. Remove unauthorized memorial. Art ignored them. The fines mounted. Art, living on a fixed pension, paid them from his savings, his silence a testament to his stubborn devotion. Then, one Tuesday, Karen made her move. Art was at a routine doctor's appointment. The roar of a small bulldozer, hired with HOA funds Karen had allocated without a full board vote, shattered the morning's peace. Karen supervised, phone in hand, live streaming her community improvement project to a private HOA group. "This space," she declared, her voice crisp over the engine's growl, "will be a wonderful new playground for the children. My Sophia needs a proper place to play." The river stone was shoved aside, the plaque bent and tossed into a debris bin. The flag case was shattered. By the time Art returned, his corner was a churned-up mess of mud and torn roots, the monument gone. All that remained was the scarred earth and the silent witness of the old oak tree. The community was divided. Some were aghast. Others, fearful of Karen's wrath, whispered their support for Art behind closed doors. But Art, a man who had faced worse horrors than a petty tyrant, did not yell. He did not scream. He simply went inside, put on his only suit, and called a lawyer recommended by a local veterans group. The courtroom was a stark contrast to the ruined garden. Hushed tones, polished wood, the scent of old paper and authority. Karen, representing herself with breathtaking arrogance, presented her case. "Your Honor, the rules are clear," she stated, pointing to a highlighted section of the HOA bylaws. "It was an unpermitted structure. I was acting in the best interest of the community, creating a safe, fun space for our future, our children." She painted Art as a sentimental old man, his memorial a dangerous precedent. If we allow one, we have to allow everyone's personal clutter. Then it was Art's lawyer's turn. He was a young, sharp veteran himself, JAG-trained. He called Art to the stand. "Mr. Jenkins, why was this memorial so important?" the lawyer asked gently. Art's voice was rough, but clear. He spoke not of rules, but of responsibility. He told the court about Ben, about his smile, about the last letter he'd sent. He spoke of the promise he'd made to himself to ensure one life, cut so tragically short, was remembered. That corner, Art said, his eyes glistening as he looked directly at Karen, was the only thing that wasn't replaceable. It was a living thing. The ferns, the bees, the stone. It was a place of peace. Not just for me, for Ben. Karen smirked, ready to object on the grounds of irrelevance. Then came the twist. Your Honor, Art's lawyer said. The defense would like to enter 2 new pieces of evidence into the record. The first was a document from the County Historical Society. A survey from 1920 shows that the old oak tree on Mr. Jenkins' property is a registered witness tree, a landmark used by surveyors for the original land grants. It is legally protected, and any ground disturbance within its root zone, which Mrs. Miller's bulldozer unequivocally caused, is a violation of County Ordinance 14.7. She didn't just break HOA rules. She broke the law. A ripple went through the courtroom. Karen's face tightened. And secondly, the lawyer continued, pulling a soil-caked, twisted piece of metal from an evidence bag. We have this. It was the bent plaque. When Mrs. Miller ordered this thrown away, she failed to notice what was on the back. He held it up for the judge to see. Etched into the bronze, clear as day, was a single line, dedicated with the permission of the Serenity Meadows HOA, 2005. The air left the room. That's impossible, Karen shrieked, her composure shattered. The lawyer presented a faded, signed letter from the 2005 HOA board, found by a former secretary who had been appalled by Karen's actions. It granted Arthur Jenkins permanent permission to install and maintain a memorial for Corporal Benjamin Carter in perpetuity. Karen had not only destroyed a hero's monument, she had destroyed a permitted one. Her entire case, her moral high ground, her authority, it all crumbled to dust. The judge's verdict was swift. Karen Miller was found personally liable for trespass, destruction of property, emotional distress, and violating county preservation law. The HOA was ordered to fully reinstate the memorial, but Art had a condition. He stood, an old soldier finding one last battle. Your Honor, I don't want it put back just as it was. I want it made better. I want a proper garden, a community garden for reflection, with native plants and a bench. And I want it dedicated not just to Ben, but to all who served from this county. And I want Mrs. Miller to fund the entire project, from her own pocket, as her community service. The final blow was poetic. Karen's daughter, Sophia, who had watched the entire trial from the gallery, walked over to Art. She took his hand and looked at her mother, her young eyes full of a clarity Karen had never possessed. I don't want a playground, Mom, she said, her voice small but firm. I want a hero's garden. From the ashes of Karen's arrogance, something far more beautiful did rise. The Corporal Ben Carter Memorial Garden now thrives under the witness tree, a vibrant, living ecosystem of remembrance. It is a place where children learn about sacrifice, where bees hum a quiet tribute, and where an old veteran sits, his hand on a smooth river stone, knowing that some promises, like the truth, are unbreakable. And Karen? She pays for it every single month, a permanent reminder that some things, like respect and sacrifice, can never be bulldozed.